into the nitty-gritty behind monsters from different lore. However, there is a general focus on D&D.
We are players and DMs, so we draw from our experience with different tabletop RPGs, and we tend to go off on tangents every so often.
If you're looking for facts and historical value, this may not be the podcast for you. But if you love discussing monsters and all of their potential, just for fun, then we got you covered.
Adult content warning, and with all that out of the way, my name is Dylan, and I'm joined once again by my two brave monster hunters.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Melina.
And this is Mornings with Monsters.
All right, adventurers, strap in and get ready to visit the very chaotic plane of limbo, where our subject of the day comes from. The Slaad are chaotic, evil manifestations of chaos incarnate. They are a humanoid creature that sometimes looks like frogs of different color and have the ability to change their shape, just like the lands in which they come. It is an interesting monster with an even more interesting flowchart of reproduction, if you will. And I'm pretty excited to get into these guys.
So I think you're right as far as starting off with introducing their reproduction cycle, because my goodness, that is a complicated mess. It's really not. I mean, it's not to me now that I've heard it five times.
Now I've learned it,
but it's like at first you're like, wait, what? And
when I was like starting to learn it, all I could hear and see is Charlie from It's Always Sunny, just like at that big board going
untangling
crazy.
It like a
trying to explain everything,
like the detective that got fired from the force because he got in too deep. Yeah, seriously, it is strange, and like it's also brutal,
but I think it lends itself to the strangeness, you know what I mean?
I think so too. I think that's a good place to start, because I just read right before that we started recording that no other races are really known to, do anything collaborative or like even tolerate the Slaad. Or Slaadi, I guess you could say it either way.
Yeah, either way. It's interesting.
And that is mostly because of their parasitic style of reproduction. I mean, they're required to basically kill humanoids to reproduce, which is brutal. And so there's a bunch of different kinds. Like let's go over what they are. If you don't know what a Slaad looks like, go look it up, because they're pretty scary looking. They're a giant frog that stands on 2 feet. The basic kinds are the red and the blue Slaad. The magic using Slaads, which are slightly above those two, are the green Slaad. And then it goes down a bit of a rabbit hole. Alex, do you know all the Slaads after the green Slaad?
I do, yeah.
Okay, if you want to take it over from there, because...
Yeah, so then after the green, we have a gray Slaad, a death Slaad, a white Slaad, and a black Slaad, which is different than a death Slaad somehow.
But they're both black.
Yeah, but they are both black.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
But yeah, so let's talk about how they make more.
Yep.
And like how the different kinds are made, because it's interesting and complex. The base Slaad, the red and the blue, have 2 differing versions of propagating, and each results in the opposite color of the parent, quote unquote. The red will start with an attack by its claws, under which tadpoles live and are injected into the skin of the person who's clawed. Over the next 3 months or so, the tadpole gestates inside the chest cavity of the humanoid, and when it's strong enough, will then devour all of the internal organs in the chest, pop out of the chest like an alien from Aliens, and then devour the corpse of the body it grew in, and over the next 24 hours grows to full fruition as a blue Slaad. That's
So
how
red
red
makes
Slaads
blue.
make blue. Yep.
Yep.
Now, blue Slaads, they differ in their way of reproduction in that it's still a claw that will take you down, but instead of injecting a tadpole, you are now infected with a virus called
Chaos phagy.
chaos phage.
Phage, yeah.
And it's like lycanthropy. And so over the next 3 months, your body permanently changes slowly into a red Slaad. So your musculature will change, your skin will turn color, your claws will start to grow long and thick and hard. And yeah, you'll start to be infused with negative energy from the chaos plane, and your mind will slip. And I mean, it's a disease that if you have high enough level magic to deal with around you, like immediately, you could probably save yourself. But
I read specifically the only things that are going to cure it, other than like, you know, non-game mechanic surgery magic,
yeah,
is like obviously a wish spell,
yep.
greater restoration, cure disease, things like that.
But it has to be early stages to do
It does
those
have to
ones.
be early stages, and if you are infected with the tadpole, you don't even know that it's inside of you until about 3 days before
Yep, once it starts
before you're
eating your
dead.
organs.
So, hopefully your DM is very benevolent and gives you perception checks every day with increasingly low DCs, so that you know that you have an alien growing inside your body that's going to pop out.
So yeah, then we have, so those are the red and the blue, and then the green is made by either red or blue, and all that needs to differ is that the person who gets clawed
Yeah,
and
by either.
infected by either one needs to be a magic user of level 3 or higher, and it becomes a green slot instead of a red or a blue. Like if you're a level 8 fighter, if you're a level 12 monk, if you're a level 7 barbarian, it doesn't really matter. You're going to be a red or a blue depending on which one scratched you. But if you are a level 3 wizard or sorcerer or whatever, you're going to be a green slot. That's a guarantee.
Yeah.
Which is kind of lucky for you.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I think before we continue on the reproduction path, maybe we should talk about these three a little bit. Just because the rest gets the wormhole goes much deeper. Say the red and the blue slots don't like each other, and they don't like their children, their offspring, because they can't have a red, like a red can't have a red and a blue can't have a blue.
Yep.
So they basically discard the baby. They don't eat it or kill it, but unless it's a green Slaad, they don't respect it. So luckily they grow to adulthood in 2 days.
Yeah, and unless like being held prisoner, which Slaad like to do with the victims that they are infecting, you know, they won't be able to like really take care of the Slaad unless they know exactly where it is, you know? And even then, like you said, they don't really care about them.
Yeah, which is scary. I mean, the reproductive cycle of these creatures would be a terrifying thing if they were more organized as a culture, but they're not because they are as chaotic can be. And as far as I know, they're the only like creatures that came to being on the plane of limbo. They're the only natural inhabitants. Like there's plenty of other things and races that have ended up there for, you know, however long or forever.
Right.
But they're the only... I think we should talk about limbo just a little bit because, I mean, they're the only natural inhabitants of an entire plane of existence.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like the place itself is matter of all sorts, just shifting constantly.
Yeah.
At like a moment's notice, you could be sitting on a piece of grass floating into the cosmos, and it will turn into a rainbow, and then that will turn into a hot dog.
But you might not fall because the gravity is also kind of random. And
yeah, and like everything is controlled by the will of the inhabitants. So if you are particularly willful or strong of mind and want to fly in one direction, you just think about it and you can fly. And by proxy, some of the stronger beings on this place can hold together matter and keep its shape and uh, basically live there without the effects of chaos changing it as long as they have enough willpower and can maintain.
Which is essentially how the Slaad came to being in the first place, is by something powerful enough creating like some kind of device that
Yeah,
could hold structures in place through willpower. And
yeah,
then
because what was his name? Primus, right?
Primus, yeah, I believe
And
it was either a god or
he's
something.
like the oldest being in the plane of order, which if you're looking at the wheel of planes in D&D, Limbo's on the very east point,
Yeah,
and the plane of order where Primus comes from is on the very west point. So they're the exact opposite, and Primus wanted to control chaos enough that beings of order could live on the plane,
yeah,
and he created this egg
yeah,
that would do that.
and eventually give birth to the Slaads, which
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, you try to create order out of chaos, and the only thing that you can guarantee is that something is going to come out of that chaos and start fucking around and finding
yeah,
out.
and that is why they're not frogs. I mean, they are chaos energy given form. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not. They look like frogs, but they don't have to because they
Nope.
can change
They
into
can.
look whatever they want to look like.
Well,
Well,
green,
green
green
slots
and
can.
higher. Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
and I think this kind of segues back into the reproduction cycle because
Yep.
the blue, and the green, they don't really necessarily want to be what they are. The red and the blue are bestial in nature, so they are driven to continue other species. So they love chaos, they love fighting, they love everything that chaos comes with. But the one thing that they will do is try and stay alive and try
Hmm.
and make more Slaad.
Yep.
The only thing that they listen to is the green Slaad, and the only reason they do that is because they know that they're smarter and they will keep them alive longer if they listen to
Yep.
them. So the green Slaad, they they understand a little bit more, and one of their goals is to be truly chaotic. And that's when the reproduction cycle kind of continues a little bit, is when they realize that there's a next step, which gets a little bit confusing. I saw a few different things about how they move from a green Slaad to a gray Slaad,
Yeah.
then further. um,
I think the best way that I heard it explained was that over the centuries, because they can live a long time, they get an epiphany of sorts.
yeah,
Now, before they always say that they go into hiding for a time
like
and get
isolation,
steeped,
yeah.
yeah, and get steeped in negative energy. But I also think that like their existence and the way that they use magic and the way that they seed chaos everywhere that they go also is part of that like epiphany building by
Yeah,
being steeped in more and more chaos as they grow and learning like the secret of chaos. I think
yeah.
that's part of it, you
and
know?
and I think as like players or people introduced to the story, we're not necessarily supposed to know exactly what that means,
Yeah.
because they are creatures that are already very isolated as far as the other planes go, and then even more so like isolated to just themselves, to have this secret of the Slaad, to move to that phase of the gray Slaad. And each step in this process becomes more and more rare. So
Much more.
it's a rare chance for it's only like a 25% chance of success for red and blue to even have
A
their
green.
offspring, and then
Yeah.
green, and then they have to be a magic user, and still it's 25% chance, so it's even less so because they have to be a magic user.
Right.
So, and they're also a race that gets hunted down and killed whenever they're found because they are parasitic in nature.
Yep.
So it's rare for the green Slaads to make it to the state of being or just live long enough to become a gray Slaad. And then
Right.
To become a death Slaad, they have to. Well, for a gray Slaad to become a death Slaad, they have to eat a death Slaad, and it has changed. These are from second edition. Initially, there was only 4 death Slaads in existence, but now I think it's like a dozen. Also, this gets a little weird because I did finally figure out how, like, well, if they have to eat a death Slaad, then where did the first death Slaad come from? And essentially, this is what I thought was the most interesting thing about the Slaads, right? They want to become as chaotic as possible, and they know that their nature of chaos is, held within the form of the Slaad. So to truly become just basic chaos energy, some of these gray Slaads will go into different realms or different places, into even more isolated things, to steep themselves in chaotic magic. And if they do that for long enough and follow the right paths, or maybe potentially meet the right gods, whatever it is, whatever the secret is to become a death Slaad, they'll come back as a death Slaad. But I also read that the gray Slaads and the green Slaads, the Slaads that have enough mental capacity for these kinds of concepts, consider the death Slaads to have failed. To fail, like, the outcome that as a gray Slaad that you want is to not come back from that isolation, so that you can reconnect with the force of chaos and basically ascend from your your physical body. And so, like, the death Slaads, although respected and more powerful, aren't considered successful because they come back and they're still Slaads.
Interesting.
Which I thought was a really cool concept, because you would think that if they came back stronger, that would be successful, but it's not.
Yeah, because like at this point, like the gray and green Slaads in existence right now, they feel strong enough in their skills to bring more about and like to sow more chaos. But any gray Slaad that goes on that journey should look for that chaotic enlightenment, right? And like,
yes,
if they come back, like that means either that it doesn't exist, which would be shitty for them, or that this Slaad specifically failed and like, maybe they'll be able to succeed.
And who knows if that's even true? Like they could just be dead. Like they could have just died on that path, on that journey. But the Slaad like to think they've become like part of the bigger picture. So like looking through all this, it's like the chaotic version of Buddhism, like becoming enlightened.
That's exactly what I was thinking, actually, because it sounds like they're searching for nirvana in chaos.
Yeah, which is wild and is an awesome concept.
It is, yeah.
That's why I like the Slaads so much more than I did before.
It makes me think that like they're somewhat conscious of the fact that they shouldn't be physical.
Yeah.
And that like all of their actions and all of their like cultural trend, if you will, is to get back to being like non-corporeal,
I don't really know too much about the rest of the Slaad, to be perfectly honest with you. I kind of went down the rabbit hole with the first 5 or 6
From what I hear,
whatever.
it's the 5 are, it's just like after Death Slaad, you get more epiphanies and more steeping, and like you basically just you keep transforming. But the cool thing about white and black Slaad is it's said that they are so filled with negative energy that like touching something can like dissolve their matter.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
like
truly chaotic
or anything like that, but like the plane of chaos, like it would just rearrange itself into something else or
change your physical matter into non-physical matter.
Yeah.
Jeez, that is chaotic.
Yeah, it's just I feel like because in fantasy especially, like when you are around especially strong beings, can you guys imagine the aura that thing would give off? Like being around it, you would feel like sick, I would assume.
Oh yeah,
it's like really absolutely sick. Nauseous.
Ugh.
And then there's two lords of the Slaad. I don't know if you guys heard anything about that.
The Lord of Chaos, or
There's like the Slaad of Insanity
yeah,
and the Slaad of Death or something like that.
yeah,
And they look pretty cool.
they
I'm
are
not gonna
very
lie.
cool,
They are fucking rad.
and there's 5th edition stat blocks for them. So go look them up and
Yes.
use them in your campaigns because they're very
Yes.
very cool.
Destroy your party with a late level fuck you mission.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. How the hell
Okay.
are you going to run into a Slaad at all
I mean,
in 5th
honestly,
edition?
if you were to run into a Slaad that wasn't blue or red, uh, which I don't know.
I'd say the most likely thing you're going to run into is a green Slaad
Yeah,
that has polymorphed himself and has
I was about to
traversed the
say,
plains. But
yeah.
even then, you would figure it out eventually, right? They're so chaotic. Like,
But would you though? Like, it really depends on where you are. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Because I feel like, especially in D&D, there are certain settings where a very chaotic character who you cannot figure out and might be dangerous, might be the safest place to be. I don't know.
yeah,
You might be like, yeah, that guy kind of fits in here, you
yeah.
know?
That's true. I do have like a store in my campaign that's basically chaos,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah. See, now I'm starting to think that
the
that guy's a slod, you know what I mean?
who knows? But
Surprised that we have encountered them in our either of the campaigns before.
well, if
Well,
you're gonna go ahead.
I was gonna say it seems like they are extremely rare for the fact that like where they come from, but also because everyone wants to kill them.
Yeah. Because if they don't
Fair.
kill him right away, there's gonna be hundreds and hundreds. It's like a cockroach, right? If you see one, there's 100. If you see 100,
Yeah.
it's game over.
Yeah, plus they basically like have zombie virus, so
Yeah,
anything that they touch will like turn into them. And I mean, yeah, it takes some time, but damn, dude, good luck finding out.
yeah, right. But and like when they're on their home turf, they're going to like capture those people and put them in camps.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
which is crazy to think that the red and the blue would even do that, just because of like their nature being so just like chaotic, like that they would
Yeah,
even
it does seem almost like a lawful act at that point.
yeah, because like honestly, they're dangerous, but they aren't directly killing things. I mean,
No.
not. I mean, I'm sure they would. It's if it's life or death, but
I
like
think
their
they'll try
goal,
not to though.
yeah, their goal is to try and damage as many things as possible without killing them, because they can't. You can't reproduce without a living host. So for both those things, you would need a living one,
Yep.
which makes them even more scary. But yeah, I'm just trying to figure out. Like, I know that there's ways to shift planes. There's campaigns that will take you to.
I'm pretty sure the green ones and up can all shift planes.
Yes, I think there's been a bit of a change from 2nd edition to 5th edition, obviously. But I know that one of the biggest nerfs that the Slaad got, specifically like the Death Slaad, Gray Slaad, and Green Slaad, were that they used to be able to like portal gate lower ranked Slaads into battle.
Yo, that's cool.
Yeah, which would be so fun, but it's not on their stat block in 5th edition. So
Did you
I would
guys
add that. I
did
would
you
for
guys
sure.
hear about their control gems?
No.
Okay, so
I mean, the gems in their brain.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that machine that Primus put on Limbo became something else called the Spawn Stone. And it is basically like that manifestation of chaos that we were talking about. And when it created the Slaad, it's like embedded a piece of it inside their brains in the very deepest recesses.
Huh.
And they say that you can, as a player, roll a 20 medicine check or do some magic shit if you have like the right spells to get that out of a Slaad, and then you'd be able to control them.
What?
Hmm.
That's fucking wild.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if a lich did that?
That was actually a specific thing that
Yeah.
people were talking about. Is
Oh,
that
really?
like, yeah, like an archlich
Yeah.
that would be a perfect like late story bad guy would keep you busy as fuck avoiding
Hell yeah.
Slaad, you
That is
know?
that plot line. I can just see spider webbing in my brain right now
Right?
of finding those clues to a fucking archlich who's taking control of a Slaad brain and has them reproduce and puts his
Yeah.
own artificial
At that point, you
gems
don't
in their
even
heads and
need fucking
shit.
eldritch energy or necro energy.
No.
You have Slaad, dude.
And they're strong. I mean,
Yeah.
like I usually have the stat blocks pulled up in front of me, but they are. I mean, I don't think the green and the red and the blue are particularly crazy. Although I've been looking at stat blocks to try and fight a party of 6 people at level 14 recently. So
Yeah,
there's
of
everything looks weak.
That's how I feel when I like go to my bestiary, because I'm so much stronger when I'm not in a beast form.
Yeah, I think it I think like as I'm leveling you guys up a lot of the things in D&D are made for creatures or are made for parties that are lower level cuz
Yeah.
like 90% of campaigns don't make it past level like 8. So that
Oh,
makes
okay.
sense, but also like I think a part of it is like eventually you have to be creative and throw away the like if you have 6 people, party of 14, that you can throw that into a encounter generator and it's going to tell you you need this and this and then they are going to
Mhm.
steamroll those things so
Yep.
quickly so
Yep.
throw that away and
Yep.
just make sure that like the CR rating isn't super dumb and focus more on like their abilities and the terrain more so
An
than the
experiment.
yeah, so mess around with that
Yeah.
like when we were on
So
the
yeah,
hollow
blue
deck that
slots
was smart.
they're still pretty good, like mid-level encounter because their
Yeah.
AC's 15 and they have 123 hit points. You know?
Yeah, and I mean, if you're not generally facing one of them, right?
Nope.
There's going to be a ton of
They
them.
have a shit ton of resistances. Holy crap.
Yep. The fuck. Like I'm looking at the Gray Slaad, 18 armor class, a minimum of 127 hit points,
Wow.
resistance to acid, cold, fire, lightning, and thunder. So it's
Mm-hmm.
crazy for something to be resistant to cold and fire, which is
Yeah,
strange.
that's
Yeah, but they're chaos.
Yeah,
You know?
chaotic. They have telepathy, Slaad, blind sight, dark vision, 17 passive perception. So you're not really sneaking around them. And this isn't even
Nope.
the final form of them. Like,
No. And like, I mean, you could probably sneak around a blue or a red because the
yeah.
blue's passive perception's only 11, so that's not terrible. But yeah, I mean, enough of those, like you get a den of blue and reds, you know, like
And you
you're
throw
fine.
in like a gray in
Yeah, because
there.
they're usually commanding them.
Give them back their portal powers from second edition, and then they fucking
Yeah.
pop up, 6 greens, 10 reds, 10 blues. Like that's a serious encounter. And then each of those slots could as an action summon even more until their army is completely at wherever you are. Yeah, that's scary.
Right, because like
Especially if an archlich is controlling them.
right, because blue and reds have multi-attack. Green, do greens and grays have multi-attack as well?
The gray has multi-attack, so I'm assuming the green does, and those are
Yeah.
spellcasters.
You're screwed. Like
Yeah.
you have your soldiers doing multi-attacks to try to like basically
Infect
grow their
you.
numbers in battle.
Yeah.
And then you have greens who are just like, fuck you guys, I'm gonna spell cast the shit out of you.
And they love fighting. They're not going to
They
shy
do.
away from a fight.
Nope, they enjoy it a lot.
Scary. Scary, scary, scary.
Then the only things that they will kill on sight are those things from the plane of order. Do you know what those are called? I can't remember.
I don't remember exactly.
They're like the natural enemy of the Slaad, and the Slaad don't fuck around. They just kill them. They don't try to convert them or anything. That's another thing, like you were talking about how there's certain things that they do that seem almost too not chaotic enough.
Yeah, not chaotic enough, so that they have that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like chaos is kind of a the concept of chaos is a bit of a what's the word I'm looking for? Something that can't be.
And a paradox.
A paradox. The entire like concept of displaying chaos is a paradox, because you shouldn't have something necessarily that should be chaotic, but if you're saying anything is a law of this is what chaos should be, it also shouldn't be that. So it's all one huge paradox. So I mean they're working within the boundaries of it for sure, but also just the fact that like the plane of chaos, limbo, even exists is also, you know, a paradox.
Yep.
Because it both needs to be there and shouldn't be there.
Yep.
Which is wild. The whole thing.
Because like I hear that it protects, or is like the gateway between the more like primordial planes, which is pretty cool.
I mean, it makes sense, especially for the Slaad to be the only natural inhabitants of it, because they are primordial.
Yep.
And I think this is probably the first primordial creature that we've discussed.
I think so.
Which is a whole different thing, and we've already gone down the nerdy. We've done so much nerdy conceptualizing in this episode, so we won't get into that whole thing. But we'll just say it super tracks for the Slaad being like something that truly wants to be nothing but chaos, to be like the gatekeepers of the primordial realms.
Yeah.
I like that. I didn't even know that.
It's very fitting.
It is. Okay. Well, I think I feel something weird in my chest. I did get bit by this frog a couple weeks ago.
Oh shit.
They're scratched.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, actually, it did scratch me. Now that I think of it, that frog was taller than me, and bright blue. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go check this out. Hey guys, welcome back to another middle of the episode. If you have been listening to every episode on the week that it comes out, first of all, thank you. Second of all, sorry about the delay. That's my bad. We had a brief vacation, and we just didn't get the editing done quite quick enough. That's all on me. So, I apologize. We'll make it up to you somehow. And as always, we want to give a huge shout out to @MizenCake on Instagram for our amazing cover art. And if you saw that cover art on a sticker somewhere with a QR code, that's another shout out for @Olava's Cryptid Crafts. All right, that's pretty much all I got for you. Make sure you tell everyone you know about our podcast. Like, share, subscribe, do whatever you gotta do on whatever platform or pod listener thing that you are listening to this on. Thanks again. We will be right back next week, I promise this time, with another episode and another morning with another monster. I will let you guys jump back in to the chaotic realm of limbo, and I'll see you next week. Bye. All right, well, I'm back. Best case scenario was that burrito I had at that sketchy Mexican restaurant earlier today. Worst case scenario, I got not very long to at least become a level 3 spellcaster, so that I can become a green Slaad. So,
yeah, you need to learn some spells ASAP.
Yeah, so if anyone can help me out with that, make sure you hit me up with some YouTube links in our email or wherever you reach us at. Cool. We're back. So we've reworked our prompt questions a little bit. You know, got to keep it fresh, keep it moving. You know, so we've kept some of we've kept one. We kept one that we like a little bit more.
There we go.
So first question, the Slaad. Would you try to become their friend, or would you try to fight them if you ran into them? And how would you do so?
It wouldn't be your friend. It wouldn't let you be its friend.
But that doesn't mean you can't still try. Just because something doesn't want to be your friend doesn't mean it will never be your friend. I mean, there's things in D&D, right?
Yeah, I think that it really depends on what that slot is doing, you know? Because like outside of its inherent goal to like make more, uh, it also has a very big goal that is inherent but also conscious, and it is to bring more chaos to wherever it is. And that can look like anything, literally, but it might not look like many things at once for a singular Slaad. It could be that that Slaad has a very specific way about going bringing chaos to the realms,
Yep.
and that you could easily get in on that train and help him or it or whatever they identify as in
Probably neither.
right in spewing more chaos with it. And I feel like so long as you served a purpose to it, they would let you live, which is best case scenario. I mean, friendship, like Melina says, I don't think is actually a
Probably not.
capability, you know. But I do think that they could have you around for common goals.
Sure.
You could benefit, they could benefit, you know.
Let me float something. Uh, I want to be friends with a Slaad. I
Okay.
think there's a very, very specific and small way, like time frame, where you could do that. Um, I think if I was some kind of like extremely powerful, like plane shifting magic user, I could potentially isolate a point in time where I could find a gray Slaad who is on his vision trip or whatever, and he is looking for enlightenment, and maybe I could steer him down a different path, because like they ascend each level, they get smarter and more aware of their mortality, I would say.
Right.
I'm thinking, like, if I was a strong enough spellcaster, obviously the Slaad respect powerful spellcasters. Maybe
Yeah.
I could, like, be like, hey, if you can not do the whole, like, murder everyone for reproductive sake, you could join me in my realm of existence and maybe, like, learn magic that way, and we'll work together, and you'll become the first golden Slaad.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the golden Slaad.
Or something like that. So I think that would be my way of attempting to do so. Again, I would have to learn magic, so hit me with those links, yo. Other than that, though, I'm fighting it. I'm gonna fight them. I'm gonna kill them.
Yeah.
Great. They're
Yep.
parasitic, and I wouldn't specifically, hopefully, end up on the plane of limbo. So if I saw one, they are an invading force. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, and how would I do that? Well, I don't know. What would be the best defense against it? Maybe, I don't like killing things, which you guys both are probably like sighing at
I'm
seeing
like
me as a
cringing
DM.
right now.
Yeah, but like me as a person, I don't like killing things. So maybe maybe I would just cast banishment on them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be my go-to move, is just banish all of them if I could. Or maybe if I knew
Dude,
they were
here's
coming,
the thing,
scrolls of
right?
banishment.
If you banish them, they can get back, bro.
Yeah, that's true.
And the more that you banish, like the more that your name is out there in the fucking chaos lands being spewed out by horrible creatures.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess I would try banishing them first and giving them a chance, and then if they come
Yeah.
back, or, I am aware that they are doing even worse things in other planes, then I would fireball them. Or nope, I wouldn't do that because they're resistant.
No.
I don't know. I guess I would. Apparently, I'm a spellcaster in this
Yeah, you'd
this
have to
scenario, so I would get I would go to a tavern and try and get a group of adventurers to help me with a secret mission, and wear a cloak and stand in the corner. All right. What about you guys?
I feel like I would use some sort of like magical cage, you know,
Containment.
and then let my physical characters just kind of like fuck it up through the cage.
I'm assuming that I know they're not resistant to like bludgeoning and like stuff like
No,
that, but are they have to be magic, like magic damage? I don't think so. Maybe just the
no, I don't think
death
it need
slot.
like I don't necessarily think they have like physical damage resistance, so it doesn't need to be like. I mean, it's just they don't wear armor or anything. I'm assuming.
They can. And second
Really,
edition, there's lots of depictions of them wearing armor.
that is horrifying.
Yeah, yeah, they can definitely use weapons. I know that.
Oh, that's worse.
Like a gray slot has multi attack, and one of the attacks is long sword.
Oh no, no.
Yeah. So
So yeah, I would absolutely have to be a spellcaster who could like deter
yeah. So you're like
pretty.
sorcerer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. It would be a nice wheelhouse of spells to like keep something from moving closer to my party because I don't want them to get scratched, you know?
Here's the other class, or Melina, if you have, you can go. I don't want to steal all the thunder.
I would.
Go with your old bread and butter.
Yeah, I mean,
What's my bread and butter?
Moonbeam, baby.
Moonbeam.
No, I would polymorph into. Oh no, I couldn't do that because they're way higher of a challenge rating.
Well, if you had, we're talking about level 20. I mean,
Yeah, you'd have to
yeah,
be.
we're talking about you can do whatever you want. Just like they're, how would you deal with them if you had the power to deal with them however you want?
I would polymorph into one of them and then
Oh,
become the strongest one and rule them all.
Oh shit.
okay. So I was gonna say I think the best optimized class to defeat them would be a paladin, like Oath of Order realm, right? The opposite.
Okay. I could see that.
Like the
Heavy
opposite
armor.
alignment of the realm of chaos. So like someone
The
who
long
had
order
sworn,
then.
yeah, had sworn fealty to whatever god resides in the realm of order. I think that would be the probably second best class to deal with them. Yeah, that's all. That's the best I can come up with.
Yeah.
But infiltrating them as a Slaad is super smart. Like if you become a green Slaad, you're automatically not having to deal with any of the reds and blues, which make up
Yep.
90% of their, their group
The race
usually.
right
Yeah.
now, yeah.
Okay, so next question. If you were to homebrew this monster, what would you add or change to their stat blocks or just abilities? It doesn't have to be like super nitty gritty, like pick apart their AC and stuff, but
I would give Death Slots and higher a breath.
ooh,
Yeah, I
like
think
chaos breath.
a chaos breath would be
What?
sick as fuck.
Oh, just
Kinda
change the matter of everything.
Well, I would say like it ignores any resistance of like the fire, cold, lightning, all the shit that they have resistance to. It would ignore that, but you'd also have to take damage based on the wild magic table,
Ooh, that's cool.
right? I feel like it would be fun.
A chaos breath, yeah. I
Yeah,
like that a lot. I would say the only thing I would add or change is like in fifth edition, I would for sure give them back their power to portal in more
yeah,
slots.
yeah,
I would also do that where like they could portal in more slots that could also portal in more slots. So it would be like a trickle effect of just way too many slots to deal with and could
yeah.
potentially become a TPK and
Like a
probably
hive infestation.
yeah, and I would give it to Death Slods as like a legendary action, um,
Mm,
that they can use that or like a once a day ability, and then give it to like Gray Slods as an action, but give them like Gray Slods and Green Slods can only bring in specific like smaller amounts, and then give
right.
them like some kind of saving throw for the rest of the party to like give them an opportunity to stop them from doing that, or there would be no way to beat that encounter. So
That'd be fucking cool.
yeah, it would be really fun to just have to like if you were level like 18, that would be a super awesome encounter, because if you're doing cleave damage, you're just slicing through like hundreds of Slaads, but then also like one round of attacks against a party with with like fucking 100 Slaads or more would just kill you every round.
Yeah, that's insane.
It'd be a lot of fun. Watch.
Yeah.
I'm getting ideas, guys. Careful.
I know, this is terrifying.
Melina, anything you would add or change about this monster?
I'd make a purple one.
That's fair.
Ooh. What would it do?
I feel like it wouldn't be affected by like gravity.
Oh. That's
I
I like that.
It is in limbo.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'd also like to for sure play around with the what you were saying, where like the white and black Slaads can change the matter of things by touch. I think that's maybe not necessarily a stat block mechanic, but maybe like a story driven like scenes with that, or like like an overarching plot where things are mysteriously vanishing, or like
I was gonna say it could be like a fantasy version of a black hole storyline.
Yeah.
Where like you either like save the whole universe by like killing this thing, or it disappears into it.
Yep. Next up, do we agree with their base alignment, which is chaotic neutral?
Oh, no.
They're not evil. So everyone that thinks they're evil, they're not.
I don't agree with the base.
In 5th edition, it's both chaotic neutral and chaotic evil.
Yeah.
Interesting. I would agree with chaotic evil for sure, because they don't care to like run away from a fight. Their like means of creating more involves like killing and eating bodies, even like progressing through the ranks of higher echelons.
I think it can come across as neutral because they are a creature from a society that is that way because they're the only creatures there. So
I can see that. It's not evil in that sense because that's the only way.
So like I guess that's where you could make the argument for chaotic neutral, just because there is no other way. So like who's to say that it's evil in their society?
Right.
Yeah.
I suppose.
I mean, they could be chaotic good in their eyes, right?
That's true. I guess it would come down to, do they have sex within themselves that don't practice this? You know what I mean? And if they do, then I guess chaotic evil would be more as the mass, but I doubt that they do. You know what I mean? I doubt that there's even one lone Slaad out there who's like the tinfoil hat.
Yeah, like
I just don't.
I don't. That's less likely to happen than a Lithid Alhoon scenario, or they'd probably have a stat block for something similar. I don't know. I think like if these guys aren't chaotic neutral, what is? Like there's phase stuff, but like they don't do anything for evil's sake or good sake, right? The only reason they kill humanoids is because their bestial nature tells them they have to continue their reproductive cycle. Like the shark precedent, right? I think it applies to them too.
Yeah.
But I am holding out for a chaotic good golden Slaad.
I mean, I did hear a tale about one.
Yeah, after I said it, I was like, oh wait, that's already a thing somewhere.
Yeah, he basically lives in a golden castle in Limbo and protects Limbo from outside forces.
One castle.
The Slaad are fucking crazy. Also, the castles that are maintained in Limbo also change in form and location constantly. So like it would be real hard to track that Slaad down.
Yeah. But can you imagine like that one Slaad is is only doing what it's doing because no other Slaad is doing it. You know what I mean? And like maybe that was his epiphany journey was like, oh
Yeah,
shit, this has to be protected, but like no other Slaad is gonna do it, you know?
that's crazy. All right.
Right.
How would we like to see them used in media or gameplay? That's right, folks. That's the question we kept.
I think it would be a fun like high level spelljammer kind of like we're our party and we're level 18, but we also have like all these NPCs we've picked up and have like real good loyalty with, and like it's the fate of like not just our world but like many, you know.
Like you've seen them
And
across the multiverse as you've traveled,
yeah,
and yeah,
yeah, like you said, like a nice overarch story that basically involves something that either is dissolving the universe or they're just everywhere,
yeah,
and there's more and more grays being able to portal in more and more blue and reds, and it's just something that we have to stop, or there won't
yeah.
be us.
Yep, I like that a lot. And I think it does lend itself to the Spelljammers.
Yeah,
It does feel like quite a bit of like a D&D outer space kind of creature as far
yeah,
as like where the setting would be,
super alien for sure.
and literally alien because of the parasitic
Yeah,
thing
that
that pops out
terrifies
of the
me.
chest.
Yeah, how about you, Melina?
I don't know. It'd definitely be cool to see something go down in limbo, though.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty
I
just the
much.
like,
visuals alone would be amazing.
Oh
yeah, I
yeah,
don't know.
be a cool movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'd be hard to make. It would be very expensive. The CGI of like changing entire continents matter,
yep,
shit like that would be wild, 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 wild.
Have you seen The Magicians?
yeah.
No.
So, like, I'm looking at this limbo map that they have in the Forgotten Realms wiki. And
Hmm.
Is it moving constantly?
no, but it's like got the, like the
Yeah.
swirl lines, like it is moving. Um, but I don't know why. Like it just kind of, when I think of a representation of like limbo, I think of the representation of like the castle or the school or whatever the fuck it is when they like show the both sides of it. It's like a whole thing. I guess I don't know where I'm going with this. Sorry guys.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Uh, I get it. I think mine would kind of be a combination of the two. I think we need, I think we desperately need an updated campaign setting that moves through Limbo, like an actual like entire book of it,
Yeah,
whatever the
agreed.
adventure might be. My idea for it would be, it's hard to do like that in the early game, so maybe like start a campaign in the mid level or something like that, where
Yeah,
essentially you're seeing Slaad pop up in your overworld realm, whatever it is, and then you are tasked with taking care of it. And then like from the very beginning of the campaign, all you hear is how evil the Slaad are and how all they want to do is kill and take over everything. And then as like you progress through it, you see more hints that like yeah they are fucked up, but are they evil, like making that a choice, because I love doing that kind of stuff. Yeah, you want to kill them, but then you realize like maybe you come across one that's like meditating and is trying to force an epiphany, and then you question him and it changes like the plot a little bit. And then the more and more you do it, you realize like they were wronged as a creature, and they are a tragic creature because they were forced into existence when their nature at its core shouldn't have form. And
yeah.
maybe the campaign switches halfway through, or it's D&D, so maybe it doesn't and you just kill them all. But
Eh,
like maybe it could have two endpoints where you side with the Slaad and figure out how to not just kill them but release them from their mortal bonds, by like traveling the multiverse and the meeting the god of insanity, or the you know Just go look him up, guys. We can't get into him, but he's really cool. He's basically the Grim Reaper of Slaads.
He's nasty.
He rides a skeletal bronze dragon with a wrong alignment. Really cool stuff. So yeah, I think there's so much meat on the bones of that story.
Yeah.
Of like, interplanar travel and like finding someone, like going further and finding the one of the 12 death Slaads that exists, and why they're figuring out why there's only 12. Figuring out, like, I think there's so many mysteries about the Slaad that there's no writings for, and that's my favorite piece to work. Like, that's my gray area I like to work in, is like coming up
the
with
chaotic nature lends itself to be very gray area across the moral board, because you can choose as a DM to design a storyline that is fit to question things or to railroad them into wiping out a race. I mean, it can be fun and murdery, or it can really be deep and like quizzical. And, I agree with you on that. We should be looking at the fact that they were forced into existence. It would be fun to watch the journey of the characters' personality and like see growth in that way, but also you get the physical side of the travel through all of the planes, and you end up in limbo, hopefully. I mean, that's beautiful.
I think that would be really, really cool. And I just imagine, like, at the end of it, the gods themselves are fighting between order and chaos, and you have to pick a side or not pick a side, and just like have a really cool ending that way. How would it end? I don't know. You get to decide. But I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's the best part about D&D, is like you can write all these giant, grand buildings in your head, and then one barbarian with a fucking sledgehammer comes in and just knocks it all down.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or a monk with fucking 20 AC.
Well, a monk with 20 AC, or, an entire ancient civilization nestled away in the mountaintops with lots of history and lore and ruins. And let's speed run it. Why not?
I got what I needed, and we have a new tap at the fucking guild house. I'm cool with that.
I'm not mad about it. I knew it was going to happen.
I'm so happy. Now we have 2 different beers, and one my character can actually stomach.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I think I see something coming out of your chest.
Do ya? It might be the burrito, but I'm going to go get it looked at. My local, I don't know. I was going to say doctor, but maybe
an apothecary would be better?
Maybe an apothecary. Maybe a witch.
I know one.
Look up the local coven. I can get you some numbers.
The local coven.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully I can get in touch with them. I don't know what I have to sacrifice to do so, but I'm going to go look it up. I think that will do it for this week. Oh, yeah, that's starting to hurt a little bit. Okay. We'll see you next week on Mornings with Monsters. I'm Dylan.
I'm Alex.
I'm Melina.
We'll see you next time. Bye.